The chapter opens up and we see Detective Guzman telling her superior that the surgeon attacked Mr. Flaherty in a very vicious way. The knife ended up destroying most of his brain tissue, because of which he was paralyzed. Although he survived the attack, the doctor told her that he will never be able to walk or talk again. She further tells him that although he can't answer them, he can still hear and understand them. Then Guzman goes close to Mr. Flaherty and says to him that she was from NYPD, and they will find the person who is responsible for his condition. Her superior then informs Guzman that the surgeon was a neurosurgeon and he knows what he is doing. If Flaherty was alive, it must mean that the surgeon wanted him to be alive. Guzman says, what kind of person is the surgeon? Her superior replies by saying he is a psychopath, and the person that they have to stop no matter what. Guzman apologizes to him and says that she can't help them any longer, but her superior says to her that Flaherty was about to tell the names of all moles who were working in their organization and they need her help to solve this. Guzman says to him that when she agreed to help them, she thought it was just a typical money scandal. No one told her about all the death and destruction. Her superior tells her that she only needs to do what she was doing, asking questions. Guzman then says that she got badly injured because of Katia. But what happened? They could do nothing to her and now she was missing. On the other side, Katia wears her clothes and tells Philip to fix the computer. Philip begs Katia to let him touch her or at least lick her feet, but Katia tells him to stop. She says that she did this just so he shouldn't at least die before seeing a naked woman. Philip says that he has eidetic memory, which means that. Katia interrupts him and says that she knows what that means. It was similar to photogenic memory. Philip says that she is close enough, and then he starts describing her body in detail. He even tells her the length of her birthmark. Katia listens to him and then says that if he is that smart, then he should fix the computer. Philip says that can be done later, and that he was more interested in the talk that they were having. Katia tells him that she needs that computer fixed so that she can hear Kevin's message before their enemy finds them. Philip gets shocked after hearing this and he asks Katia how will they find them. Katia tells him that those guys can bring down the whole government and destroy the economy, and they will find a way to track them. Philip messes around and tells Katia to hold him because he was scared. In the process, he calls her mom, on which Katia tells him to stop being pathetic and tells him to fix the computer. She also advises him to not call her mom and says that it was creepy. Philip shouts and says that she married his father and took his mother's place, and she is the one who is saying that it was creepy. Meanwhile, Guzman visits Cutter's home where she meets his wife. Mrs. Cutter says to Guzman that it was nice having her here, and says that although they don't have any surveillance cameras there, they didn't have anything to hide. She further says that she always tells her husband that people who don't use surveillance cameras in their homes have something to hide. Guzman tells her that she was there because of her husband, on which Mr. Cutter says did he have an accident. Guzman says that she just wanted to talk to him and asks Mrs. Cutter if she knew where her husband was. Mrs. Cutter says that he was on a business trip, and he travels a lot because he is finance. Then she introduces her son to Guzman and says that he will grow up to be a strong man like his father. Guzman says that her husband was a psychopath who impales his victims' eyes with scalpels. Mrs. Cutter asks her what she meant by that, but Guzman changes the subject and thanks her for giving her time and leaves. On the other hand, Lee and his superior were discussing the recent activity of the names. At the same time, they were looking at a creature who was placed in closed confinement. Lee asks his superior if that creature had anything to do with all this. His superior says that the creature has been making very weird noises lately, and it all started around the time of all these worldwide attacks. Stoker says that before Giles died, he told them to blast the central computer system as it was the birthplace of these creatures. But the problem was that if they do it, the whole financial system will also be destroyed. On this, Lee gets worried and asks him if he has any other plan. Stoker says that he has one, but the problem was that he is only 16 years old. They were talking about Philip. Meanwhile, Philip was busy fixing the computer. While doing this, she talks to Katia about his dead mother. He says that he thinks her mother will be happy by the way she died. She had cancer, and because she died in a car accident, she didn't have to suffer a lot. Katia asks him if he misses her, but Philip says that he hardly even remembers her as she was always on a business trip. He says that Katia probably meant more to him than her. Katia says that's sweet, but at that moment Philip says that he was never around in his birth mother's picture. Katia was about to scold him when the computer gets fixed and Kevin's video starts to play. As they were listening to the video, some people sneak into their home and one of them shoots the computer. He says that the one who sent them says that Katia was very beautiful. After hearing to this, Katia says to him what he wants in return for their safety and freedom. That man, whose name was Lopez, says to Katia in a perverted way that she knows what he wants. His comrade tells him to keep his desire aside and advises him to focus on the mission, which was to kill Katia and abduct Philip. Lopez turns to him and says that it was always his problem, He just follows orders and that's it. Katia takes advantage of this situation and attacks Lopez. Gatlin tries to warn him, but he was late. Katia kicks Lopez in his face. Gatlin in the heat of moment shoots at her, but in the process, Lopez gets hit and he dies. Katia quickly gets up and attacks Gatlin. They both start to punch each other, and in the process, Katia asks him who sent them. Gatlin says that it was Stoker. Katia tries to ask more questions, but Gatlin gets a hold of his gun and he points it toward her. As he was about to shoot her, Philip picks up Lopez's gun and kills Gatlin with it. Katia stands up and says to Philip that they need a place to stay, a safe place where they can fix the computer. She says that Kevin was about to tell her everything. Philip says to her that the computer was destroyed and it can't be fixed. Whatever Kevin was trying to tell her is lost now. Katia starts to cry and says, why didn't Kevin tell her about the names? Why did he keep so many secrets from her? Philip hugs Katia to calm her down. Sometime later, the surgeon comes to Katia's place and sees the dead bodies. He calls Stroker and tells him he was not very happy because of the fact Stroker sent Guzman to his house to talk to his wife. Stroker says to surgeon that he was not sounding good and tells him to come back, but the surgeon tells Stroker that his assassins died about 30 minutes ago, which means that Katia and Philip were here. He says that he almost had them, but Stroker's men destroyed everything. Stroker asks him why he cares so much, to which surgeon says that he cares because Stroker wants the boy, and according to what he knows, the boy was the only one who can talk to the loopholes, and whoever has the boy will eventually win. Meanwhile, Katia and Philip were traveling in a car when Philip starts to talk about her body. Katia says that he just killed a man, but all he thinks of is that. Philip says that he has to do it once to get it off his head and tells Katia to drop him off, and he will find someone to sleep with. Katia says that she can't do that as it was not safe. She says that she has to find a safe place where she can think of a way to catch Stroker. Philip argues with her and says that Kevin lied to them. They didn't have to find out about his killer, and they won't get anything out of it. He says that they had money, and they can make fake identities and start a new life. Katia yells at him and says that she will find the person who killed Kevin. She loved Kevin, and even if Philip doesn't get the concept of love, she still loved Kevin and she will take revenge. Then they go to a hotel. Katia goes to the receptionist and tells her that she wants to book 2 rooms, one for herself and the other for her cousin. The receptionist asks her if her cousin will be joining them later, which Katia gets shocked, and she looks back and finds Philip missing. As she knew where he might have gone to, she yells at him. Philip gets in a taxi and tells the driver that he wants girls. The driver says that he knows a place and he takes him to an alley. Here, Philip goes to a woman and says to her that she was dressed very boldly, which meant she will be willing to sleep with him for money. The woman says that either Philip was a weirdo or an undercover cop. She says no matter what the case was, she was not falling for it, and she leaves. Soon a girl approaches Philip and asks him if he was lonely. Philip thought it was Katia, but as soon as he turns, he sees another girl there. She tells him to follow her and says that she knows a place where he will find what he needs. Philip asks her for her name, but she says that it doesn't matter. After following her for a while, he says that he was not feeling very comfortable, but the girl comforts him and tells him to go up the stairs. When Philip reaches the top, a woman welcomes him. Philip looks at the woman in shock and says, "Mom." And that's all for today, guys. Stay tuned to get more new videos. Stay safe and keep watching.